Hello, everyone. Welcome to Wisdom from North, another conversation. My name is Jannike, and I'm here in Oslo, sitting next to a brilliant, a bright, and brave man called Dr. Sam Semir Osmanagich. He is an anthropologist and anthropology professor at the American University in Bosnia-Herzegovina. He has a PhD in Mayan studies and a master in sciences of international economics. He has been studying pyramids for decades, and that's why he is here, because he had a lecture last night at Håndverkaren about the Bosnian Pyramids that he discovered in 2005. And he says that we basically need to change our entire history. Now, Sam, thank you so much for accepting to do this interview, and welcome to Wisdom from North.
Well, thank you for a very nice introduction.
You're welcome. I just saw your lecture last night, and there was so much information there. And I actually filmed a bit of it, and it's mind-blowing. I want to start from 2005, when you found these pyramids. It was in April, and you went up to Visoko, and you knew that they weren't ordinary hills. Why did you know, and what did you find?
Well, when I first came to the central Bosnian town of Visoko, which is just 30 kilometers northwest from the capital city of Sarajevo, the reason was not the pyramids. I went to see the local museum. But once I came to this town and saw this hill towering the town, with the regular geometry, four sides, triangular faces, obvious corners, I took a compass and it showed me that the sides are perfectly oriented to the cardinal points, east, west, north, and south. And based on my experience with thousands of pyramids in Mexico, Guatemala, China, El Salvador, and all those pyramids were covered by soil and vegetation, I knew that this so-called hill in Bosnia is actually a huge artificial structure, the first pyramid in Europe.
And so what happened then? What was the next step?
You know, I climbed the top of the pyramid with a group of people I was with, and while they were talking about the Middle Age and how Bosnia at that time was an independent kingdom, I was thinking about something else. I was standing on the top of the biggest pyramid. I was looking at the other side of the valley, and I saw another hill with triangular faces and a plateau on the top. I took a compass. Again, it showed me the perfect orientation of the sides. So I realized we have at least two pyramids. And in my head, I already got the names ready. The Bosnian Pyramids of the Sun and the Moon. And then I interrupted my friends and I told them, gentlemen, do you know that we are standing on the top of the biggest pyramid in the world, the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, and across the valley is the Bosnian Pyramid of the Moon? They stopped, silent. And then during the 2005, it was a one-man show. I got the permission, I was investing some money to do the core drilling, geological testing, archaeological trenches, and by the October of 2005, I wrote my first book about the discovery of the Bosnian pyramids. I had a big press conference in Sarajevo, and I announced the news that I discovered the first pyramids in Europe. And then I have received, over the next couple of months, 12,000 emails from all over the world by the people who were giving me the support. And some of them wanted to join the research. And then I realized this is not a one-man show. I established a non-profit, non-government foundation called Archaeological Park, Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun Foundation, and I started research in April of 2006. And since then, over 340,000 hours on archaeological excavation, sample analysis, lab testing, radiocarbon datings have been done, and we have concluded that in this little town of Visoko, we have at least 5 pyramids, which we named the Bosnian Pyramids of the Sun, Moon, Dragon, Earth, and Love, and a huge network of underground tunnels and chambers, and the whole valley we named the Bosnian Valley of the Pyramids. And now we realized that this discovery is bringing us 7 elements that will forever change our view of the ancient history. Number 1, these are the first pyramids in Europe. Number 2, they are the biggest, the largest pyramids on the planet. When you see the size of the Sun Pyramid comparing to the Egyptian Cheops Pyramid with 147 meters, and Sun is way over 220 meters, obviously this is the biggest pyramid ever built. The element number 3, since all the pyramids in China, most of them in Egypt, Peru, Cahokia and the US, are oriented to the north. So far we knew that the best orientation is the Great Pyramid of Egypt, with the error of 0 degrees and 2 minutes. But according to the State Institute for Geodesy in Bosnia, the error from the perfect north is 0 degrees, 0 minutes and 12 seconds. Then we realize that this is the most precise orientation of the planet. The element number 4, when you start digging and removing the earth and soil and vegetation from the Sun Pyramid, we are finding blocks, rectangular blocks. We've analyzed them in 6 scientific institutes, and they told us it was a man-made concrete of the best qualities, much better than what we can make today. The element number 5, the age of the pyramid. We are finding the organic materials on the top of the concrete blocks. And the radiocarbon datings are giving us the results of 24,800 years, plus minus 200 years, which is way older than Egyptian, Chinese or Mexican pyramids. The element number 6, under the Valley of the Pyramids in Bosnia, is the most extensive network of tunnels and chambers. And finally, element number 7, in those tunnels we are discovering a huge ceramic blocks that they reach 8 tons in mass. So those 7 elements forever change what we knew about the ancient past.
This is amazing. Let's talk about the sacred geometry, because 3 of the pyramids are situated in relation to each other in a certain way.
Yes. We realized that all over the planet, the ancients were applying sacred geometry, so they were very carefully planned what and how to build, and then they would execute those plans. In the case of Bosnian pyramids, 3 main pyramids, Sun, Moon and Dragon, when we connect their tops on the topographic map, we got the distance between them of 2,170 meters, 3 times. Meaning that you have a perfect equilateral triangle. It tells us that the ancients actually built those structures. They did not shape existing hills, but built structures from the bottom up. Secondly, inside that triangle, when we connect the tops of the Love Pyramid, Earth, and River Fornica, you're getting another perfect equilateral triangle. Triangle within the triangle, that's what the ancients called sacred geometry.
And what about the summer solstice and how the sun comes down on it?
You know, for the ancients, the archaeoastronomy is what we call it today, was very important. They were always looking at the sky. And what we can notice in the case of the Sun Pyramid, its shadow moves in the valley as the sun moves in horizon. And then just before the sunset, during the summer months, the shadow of the Sun Pyramid completely covers the Moon Pyramid, and the top of the Sun shadow touches the top of the Moon Pyramid. So in a symbolical way, it's telling us that the rule of the day and the sun is over, and the rule of the night and the moon starts. So we can see the genius in building those pyramids. So obviously the ancient builders first built the Sun Pyramid. They were watching the movement of the shadow, and then at the sunset they would locate the place where to build the Moon Pyramid, and based on the size of the shadow they determine the height of the Moon Pyramid.
It's beautiful. So we know that these, or they might be very old, but what about the Egyptian pyramids? Do we know, what is your opinion about how old they are?
When it comes to Egyptian pyramids, we can see two different styles. The oldest Egyptian pyramids are so much superior to the later one, to the pyramids of the 12th or 18th dynasty that were built using the mud brick, which is even used today as the construction material. But the oldest pyramids were using the limestone and granite from Aswan. Now, the Egyptologists are assigning them to the 3rd, 4th, and 5th dynasty pharaohs. However, in the Cheops pyramid, or Khafren, or Myceren, or Sneferu, or Djoser, we don't find mummies. And we will never find mummies because they were never intended to be tombs for the pharaohs. They've been teaching us that for the last 200 years. And with little help of Hollywood, everybody thinks that the pyramids were built as tombs, which is totally wrong. The pharaohs were buried 300 kilometers to the south from Cairo in the Valley of Kings. And just logically, why would somebody build such a huge, colossal structure for one dead body? And when you see the vast of knowledge they incorporated in the pyramids, then you ask yourself, who really built them? When you take two lengths of the sides of the Cheops pyramid, 232 meters plus 232, you divide by the height, 147, you get the number 3.14, which is number pi. According to Egyptologists, this number was not invented in Egypt. It would be invented 2,000 years later in ancient Greece. Then you have the golden ratio, 1.6. You have the distance between our planet and the sun incorporated in the pyramid. You have the distance between our planet and the moon. You have the speed of light. The ancient Egyptians simply did not know these values. It was somebody much more advanced. Plus, Egyptologists are saying that only by usage of primitive copper tools and wooden sticks those pyramids were built. Of course, it's nonsense. So we have to change the history books, starting with the Egyptian pyramids. The oldest pyramids in Egypt were built by far more superior civilization than the pharaonic Egypt.
We talk about the cycle of the solar system going in a cycle of around the Milky Way in 26,000 years.
And now we are coming to the other side of the world, which is the Mayan civilization. In what we call today Mesoamerica, countries of Mexico, Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, and Belize, the Mayan civilization built over 100,000 pyramids. In their great cities of Tikal in northern Guatemala, in Copan in western Honduras, Chichen Itza, Palenque, we can see only 1% of their pyramids uncovered. The rest of them are still covered by soil and vegetation. However, what we can see in some of them, like in the case of western Honduras, Copan, the greatest pyramid there is actually just the cover for a much older, 700 years older temple, which is named Rosalila. On that particular temple, above the entrance, we can see the symbols for our solar system and our Milky Way, the core of the galaxy, Hunab Ku. And between them, two vehicles with the Mayan faces in those vehicles. The question is, what is the message they're trying to relay? It seems like they had a way either to travel or to get the knowledge between the core of our galaxy and our solar system. And you did mention that the Mayan knew that our solar system moves within our galaxy, Milky Way, and they knew that one cycle takes almost 26,000 years, or to be precise, 25,920 years. They knew that thousands of years before we did. It took us almost 100 years with our most technological means, like telescopes and computers, to figure that one out.
So we agree on that now?
Unfortunately, in the mainstream science, in encyclopedia, history books, the Mayan civilization is still labeled as the Neolithic culture, people who had only the stone tools. So it's a shame. We have to respect much more the civilizations that they were here before us, because in some aspects they were in front of us. For some reason, mainstream science think that we are the most developed, the most intelligent, and the most beautiful species ever. And they are so wrong.
So is that the era that is coming to an end now, or are we moving into a golden age? Or
Well, there is a lot of speculation there. What we do know is that the Mayan had 21 calendars, and one of them, the long count, really ends on December 21st, 2012. However, after that cycle, the new cycle starts. So after December 21st, we will see what we call December 22nd and December 23rd. So the world will not come to the end. However, this whole thing about 2012 had helped the society to realize that it's not only these material things that we have around us that is the goal in our life, but also we need to include the spiritual, metaphysical aspect. And we are, as a being, complete only if we combine the two, the material and spiritual. And I think it's very important also to develop both sciences, the physical science and spiritual science. And with them, we can move as the society forward.
I have to talk about something that made my jaw drop last night. The landscape in Machu Picchu formed as a face. I didn't quite get how you came across this. Can you tell that story? And I can show a picture here.
Machu Picchu is a very intriguing site in eastern Peru between Andes and Amazon. All the textbooks, history books, encyclopedia, all the internet sources are telling us about the same thing, that it was a royal retreat for Incas. Well, Incas lived in the area from the 12th to the mid of 16th century, and according to the Spanish conquerors, in their written records, we know that Incas were rather primitive and they did not have the knowledge or technology to move 250 tons blocks that are on the top of the Machu Picchu. When you go there, you can clearly see the traces of 4 distinctive civilizations. The first one being the most developed, the second one a little bit less, the third one less, and then thousands of years passed, and the Incas came and they rediscovered the lost city on the mountains, and basically that's where they were bringing their royals. So they are teaching us in schools the theory of evolution, saying that we were primitive first, and then we've been advancing, and today in 21st century we are the most advanced. That's wrong. The history of humans is actually the history of cycles, cycle after cycle. We simply live in the last cycle, which started 7,000-8,000 years ago with Sumer, Babylon, Akkad, Assyria, ancient Egypt, ancient India. But the first builders of Machu Picchu probably goes back 50,000 plus years, and they were extremely advanced and developed because they were able to move 250 tons blocks. What we can see there from very specific point, if you make a photo of the area, you can see that 3 mountains form the human face. Of course, you need to rotate that picture for about 90 degrees, and you can clearly see, the head and the eyes and the nose and the mouth and the cheeks. It is telling us that the ancient builders were able to terraform mountains and to leave the message for the future generations. And when you see that face, the more you look at it, the more you realize how calm, peaceful it is and how beautiful it is. Yeah. And that face is basically faced upward to the universe. It's giving us another message. Yeah. They were watching the universe.
I mean, you can't deny it. It's right there. Did you come across that, or?
Well, that's something that you can see on some posters. Okay. Now, the thing is, that particular photo can be made only from one point, not from every point. And I made a lot of photos when I was in Machu Picchu several times, and only from one point basically you come to that particular, shape and the face. And it seems that that particular place was very important for the builders.
Let's go back to the pyramids.
Yes.
There's a special energy there and a special beam that comes out. Can you talk about that?
In the case of Bosnian Pyramids, the first 5 years, 2005 to 2010, we have spent proving that we have a huge construction complex. And really, when you see the geometry, 4 sides, perfect orientation, you're finding concrete blocks, you can screen inner passageways, you can find underground tunnels. Obviously, it was a result of a perfect planning. But we don't intend to spend another 100 years trying to convince everyone that we have pyramids in Bosnia. We know it will be a lot of resistance, and we don't care about that. We simply had to move on. We had to answer the question, what was the purpose of Bosnian pyramids? Egyptologists, archaeologists, geologists cannot help us because nobody taught them in schools to think about the purpose of pyramids. So we needed help from energy experts, from the physicists, electrical engineers. First came the team from Zagreb, Croatia, led by Dr. Slobodan Mizrak, who's a physicist, and they were checking so-called anomalies, electromagnetic anomalies, in the nearby hills in Visoko, and then on the pyramids. We were going around the Pyramid of the Sun. We could not find any anomaly until we came on the very top of the pyramid. On the top, in the radius of 4.5 meters, we were able to detect and measure electromagnetic field of 28 kilohertz frequency. And there was a continuum energy coming from the pyramid. And then we realized that once we get out from that radius, there is no detection. We go back, detection was there. So it meant that this energy was not going left and right on the pyramid, but it was going up like an energy beam. And then we measured the strength. And as the energy beam was moving away from the pyramid, it was getting stronger and stronger. Now, if the source is in the pyramid or below the pyramid, it was kind of very odd because our technology, which we can call Hertzian technology, is telling us closer to the source, the stronger the signal. You move away, the signal is getting weaker. But since in our little country of Bosnia, everything is upside down, same thing with the pyramid. It gets stronger as it moves away, and we can call this non-Hertzian technology. Now, these numbers were later confirmed by the scientists from Belgrade, engineer Goran Marjanovic, who also measured this particular frequency of 28 kilohertz, the sound engineer from Finland, Heikki Savolainen, and the anthropologist from Italy, Professor Paolo De Bertolis. So when you have 4 independent confirmations, in a science it is called international verification. So obviously we have a phenomenon. Nobody can tell, oh, I believe that, I don't believe that, it's possible, it's impossible. These opinions are irrelevant in science. In science, what counts is measurements, analysis, dating, testing. So we have proven that we have energy beam coming from the pyramid going up. What is its function? Well, when we think about non-Hertzian technology, which we don't have in 21st century, we have to go back to 1899 and 1900 and a guy who was born a couple of 100 kilometers to the west from the pyramids, Nikola Tesla. He was the first one experimenting with this type of energy, and he proved that clean energy is possible, that unlimited quantities of energies are possible, that non-Hertzian and the wireless technology is possible. So basically, now for the second time in the history of the last cycle of humanity, we are getting to this type of the energy. Pyramids been there most probably over 25,000 years, and it's still working. So this is for the first time that you have a proof of some type of the perpetual mobile, the machine that's been working time after time, producing energy, clean energy, the wireless transportation. And it means that we have so much to learn from the ancient past, and we can improve our future. The ancient builders were smart enough to know when you build the shape of the pyramid and you orient it perfectly to the north, and that's how the energy flows is on the planet, north-south, east-west. So when you orient it to the north, the pyramid behaves as a huge amplifier. With our Russian colleagues, Professor Kavroshkin and Siplakov, we measured the strength of the signal in the case of Bosnian and Egyptian pyramids, and we concluded that the strength of the signal on the top of the pyramid is up to 500 times stronger than at the bottom. So then we realized that the pyramid actually is not generating energy from nothing. It is using existing natural sources of energy, but amplifying them several hundred times. So the pyramid is becoming some type of the energy machine. When you have a lot of energy, you can use it for different purposes. So if we are to speculate, if you have the continuous energy coming from the pyramid, and then obviously it's getting stronger as it moves away, theoretically you can reach any other planet in our solar system or in any other star system. So when you have this energy bridge established between two planets, then you can move radio waves or information or frequencies. So it can be used as the communication mean. The second thing, when we think about our bodies, we are nothing but the energy that vibrate at certain frequency. So if through this energy bridge we can move frequencies, theoretically we could move even our bodies. So it can become a base for some type of the teleportation. So it can be used as the transportation mean. Number 3, it can be used as a heating device. Number 4, you know that today in Moscow or Beijing, when they have stormy weather, they send projectiles, they dissipate those stormy clouds. The same thing, the pyramid energy can be used. It can be used to adjust the climate. Number 5, of course, the military would love that, to have such a powerful source of the energy, and they can use it for the warfare. And really, the usage of energy, our mind is the only limit. You can use it any way you want. But the ancients were smart enough to make a machine that will last forever, producing the energy. In 2006, when I was doing excavation in Bosnia, a person came to me and she said, "You discovered much more than the pyramid." At that time I was thinking, well, we have the biggest pyramid in the world. What can be much more? And then now, 6 years later, I realized, yes, it is much more than just a pyramidal structure. It's a huge machine that can change the future for the better of our planet.
Yeah, it's an important work you're doing, and you've also had to experience a lot of opposition. And of course, it affects tourism in Egypt and everything. How is it going now with the excavation?
The discovery of Bosnian Pyramid is not a local scientific issue. This discovery has become a global scientific, economical, and political issue. When you have a discovery that changes the history books, the PhDs, professorships, obviously there will be a lot of resistance, especially in cultural establishment. And that's exactly what happened first in Bosnia, then in England, then in the US. People don't like changes. And I know that for decades to come, people will be resisting discovery like this. But then, as a human civilization, only if we stay open for new discoveries, there is a hope for us. If we think that just by becoming directors of archaeological institutes or deans at the faculties, or rectors, if we think that the knowledge stopped with us, then we become obstacles for scientific progress. We have to stay open all our life. Now, besides the scientific effects, which are tremendous, in the case of Bosnia, obviously we have a base for the archaeological tourism. In this little town of Visoko, and Bosnia's beautiful country, we never had tourists before. And now every year tens of thousands of people are coming. So far from 80 countries in the world. And the Bosnia, that's been known for the war during the 1990s and violence and all the bad stuff, all of a sudden have a base to be known for the archaeology and cultural heritage and tourists and volunteers. Nice, positive stuff. And that's what we want to do. We want to change the image of the country for the better. And maybe one of the most important aspects is our international summer camp for volunteers, which we organize every summer. In 2010, we had 500 volunteers from 30 countries. In 2011, they came from 32 countries. And this year, 2012, they came from 52 countries and 6 continents. Now imagine, not only from almost all European countries, including Norway, but people from Brazil, Argentina, Colombia, New Zealand, Australia are coming to little remote Bosnia. They spend their savings for the air tickets, they participate in the cost of accommodation, they work for free, and they are so impressed with the whole camp that they want to come next year again. So obviously something so big, attractive is happening in the heart of Bosnia.
Yeah, it must be wonderful to go there. I want to go. Like, you're part of this big discovery, excavating yourself. I mean, it must be amazing.
Exactly, and this is the only project on the planet that offers the opportunity to common people, which they don't need to be students of archaeology, professors, or experts in any kind. We offer them the chance to come to work under expert supervision of our archaeologists and geologists and geophysicists, but to be very active part of new discoveries, underground, in the tunnels, or above the ground, clearing new sections of concrete blocks and the walls. So people realize, hey, we are part of something big, and 10 or 20 years from now, we will be able to tell our kids or our grandkids, I was there at the beginning.
So you have found underground labyrinth and tunnels, but you haven't been inside of the pyramid. Do you have a thought about what might be inside?
Under every original pyramid, how I call them, there are the underground tunnels. Step Pyramid in Saqqara, Giza Pyramids in Egypt, Shanxi Pyramids in China, Teotihuacan Pyramids in Mexico. In my first books about discovery, 2005, I wrote that we were going to discover underground labyrinth. A lot of people attacked me. Well, anyway, 7 years later, it turns out that I was right. Those tunnels, they run for tens of kilometers. And the entrance to the tunnels is 2.5 kilometers away from the pyramids. So we are cleaning the tunnels, securing them with a wooden support, and moving towards the pyramid. So far we have cleaned approximately 840 meters. So every year we are closer and closer to the pyramid. So far we have discovered 6 underground chambers, anywhere from 30 to 50 square meters. The height of the chambers reach about 4 meters. So, and deeper we go, we discover more megalithic stones or megalithic blocks. So it seems that as we are getting closer to the pyramid, more discoveries are waiting to be done. If we discover chambers with 50 square meters at the beginning of the tunnels, I suspect that once we get closer or under the pyramid, that we're going to find huge holes with hundreds of square meters, maybe even thousands. We have discovered several little lakes and artificial water accumulation. I expect to find much bigger lakes under the pyramid. So I think the major discoveries are yet to come. However, what we have so far is so amazing. We have noticed and we have heard a lot of testimonies this year and last year as we started getting deeper in those tunnels of people telling that they felt exceptionally good in the tunnels. They even, if they had some diseases like asthma, they could start breathing again. So they wouldn't need those little pumps. If they had problems with the allergies were immediately gone, even with little things like headaches or back pains. So it seems that something good is happening in underground tunnels. We want to confirm everything using scientific methods. So we realize that the concentration of negative ions in the tunnels are much higher than average. Why negative ions? They are good because they clean our blood and body from the viruses and bacteria. In this room where we are having this conversation, the concentration of negative ions is 200 negative ions per cubic centimeter. In the first chamber in those underground tunnels, 230 meters from the entrance, the concentration is 43,000 negative ions per cubic centimeter, 200 times higher, 200 times healthier. It seems that the ancients, when building those underground tunnels, one of the ideas was to make healing facility. Why? Because what is the most important in our life? The health and prolonged life. So with building the pyramids above the ground, they were getting the energy they needed. Today we need the energy, but they just had smarter ways. And secondly, underground, they built healing facility to protect their health. So the pyramids and the tunnels everywhere in the world were not built for one dead body, but for the living communities. And to be there, all these structures for generations and generations.
Have this work done something to you personally, spiritually?
First of all, I have learned so much. So many people came to Bosnia, so many people I meet all over the world where I do my lectures. And I learned from different scientists, researchers, but not only from the physical science, which I really valued a lot, but also from spiritual scientists, from alternative scientists, from people who deal with the energies and special states. And then with tens of thousands of tourists, you have always opportunity to learn, then to meet, to exchange the ideas. So that was very important. But when it comes to the spiritual aspect, I realized that this project has to be different and unique. Instead of using only the physical instruments, I said, hey, if we want to understand the ancients and those monuments, we need to view those sites through 3 different realms. One is physical, the other one is energy, the third one is spiritual. And then, and only then, we can understand how important those sites were and how they were working. And of course, you need to change as a person. You need to become much more open for different ideas, different influences. And then, due to so many obstacles and attacks, you need to learn how to control yourself. You have to have balance of spiritual and physical in yourself. And I think, they would give you a courage, to move on, all these things. So I feel really blessed with this project.
Thank you so much for this interview, and good luck with your work and the work with these pyramids. Are you traveling around the world doing lectures now,
Yes.
or are you?
Usually our season is 4 summer months, June, July, August, September, and everybody is welcome to come, to work, to volunteer, to research, and to visit the place. Of course, media is very important for us. But then from October till next May, I usually do lectures, I promote the project, I invite people to come, I invite volunteers, I share the knowledge and I share them with information. And I really enjoy what I do, and I'm very happy to run this foundation. And again, I would invite everyone to come to Bosnia. Bosnia is a special place, beautiful country. And with the pyramids, it's a history-changing place. And if people can come to our website and apply to be volunteers or just to come and visit, and our website is www.bosnianpyramidofthesun.com, bosnianpyramidofthesun.com. And I think that website is also different. Instead of negative news where we can read everywhere, here we have only positive news, good impressions about what we do, experts and tourists, and that's what we need. We need positive stuff in our life.
Thank you so much for doing that work.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for watching, guys. Keep looking at my website. I put out new interviews all the time, and I'm trying to do more English interviews as well. Okay, take care. Bye.